we want to factor negative x squared plus 8x minus 7. And anytime you end up with a negative in front like this, factor out a -1 first. Okay, what that does is fix everything up so that we have a positive leading term, and that's going to make this easier to factor. So let's do that. So out it comes. We have -1. What that leaves us with is x squared minus 8x plus 7. Factoring out a -1 always changes all the signs of the terms left behind. So notice how it changed all those signs from the original trinomial. Okay, and now we can factor what we have left. So let's do that. We have x squared minus 8x plus 7. It's much easier now that we have a positive leading coefficient. So, okay, c goes up here, which is 7. b goes down here, which is -8. Put our x's in. We want factors. It's always factors of c that add to b. Factors of 7 that add to -8. Maybe you can see it right off the bat. Maybe you can't. Let's do it together. 1 times 7. Well, there's not much to choose from because 7 is prime. We wouldn't want to do 1 and 7 because those don't add together to make 8. What can we do instead? -1 times -7, because indeed if we add those together, -1 plus -7 is -8 as desired. Okay, so these are our factors, -1 and -7. Down they go here beneath these x's. Oops, let's make that -1 and -7. And then we read off going down from the x, that makes our factors. X minus 1, x minus 7. We're not done. Remember, it's so easy to forget this GCF. I wish I could draw a million exclamation points here. Right? This -1 needs to come down to the front still. It's still in the front. So here we go. Negative. And I'm just going to leave it as negative. Right? We don't really write -1. You just write a negative like that. And there is our factor form. Let's try another one. 1/3 y squared minus 5/3 y minus 8. And we want to factor this trinomial. But we have these fractions. Okay. Don't worry, let's factor out a GCF. Right? Anytime you can factor out a GCF first, you should factor out a GCF first. We can't just clear fractions by multiplying everything by 3 because we don't have an equal sign. If we had an equal sign, equals 0 or something here, I would just multiply both sides by 3. But since we don't have an equal sign, we cannot do that. Instead, let's factor out a GCF. Let's look at the numerators. Well, we have 1 and 5 and 8. So I'm not seeing anything there that's useful. The denominators, though, if we bring out a 1/3, at least we get rid of the fractions. But this doesn't have a 1/3 in it. So let me show you how this works. Let's use our GCF, greatest common factor, as 1/3. So we're going to factor this out to the front. When you factor out a GCF, you're actually dividing every term in what remains behind by that GCF. So really we're dividing this by 1/3, we're dividing this by 1/3, and we're dividing the 8 by 1/3. That's really what we're doing. Okay, so when we do that, these 1/3s cancel, leaving us with just y squared. Here, let's look at this 5/3. 5/3 divided by 1/3. Well, when you divide one fraction by another, you multiply by the reciprocal of the one on the bottom. So that's 5/3 times 3 over 1. See how I changed the order there? It was 1/3, now it's 3 over 1. And look what happens. These 3's cancel and we're left with just 5. How wonderful. All right, so minus 5y. Okay, and now we have 8 divided by 1/3. So let's go over here again. 8 divided by 1/3. When you divide by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. 8 times 3 over 1. Think of this as 8 over 1 if that's helpful, which gives us 24 over 1, which is just 24. And look what we have. plus, I guess that's minus in this case because this minus here, minus 24. So look, it made a simpler trinomial, which is really good news. Okay, so now let's work on factoring just this trinomial here. We'll do our diamond method with the magic x here. Let's do negative 24 up top, negative 5 down in the bottom. This time we're doing y's instead of x's. Okay, so we need factors of negative 24 that add to negative 5. Okay, let's do it. Negative 24. Let's see. Well, 1 and 24. Nah. 2, 12, not quite. 3 and 8 I am liking, because 8 minus 3 is 5. So let's just work out the negatives here. We want this to be negative 5, so I'm going to choose the larger of the two, 3 and 8, to be the negative. So I'm going to write this as 3 times negative 8. 3 times negative 8 is indeed 24, and 3 plus negative 8 is indeed negative 5. So these are factors of 24. They multiply to negative 24, and they add to negative 5. 3 is positive, 8 is negative, so I'll put a 3 here. This will be a plus 3 for positive, minus 8 for negative. And then going down from y tells us our factors. So we have y plus 3 and y minus 8. Don't box this. This isn't our answer. Our answer needs to include this 1/3. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this 1/3 down to the front. That's our answer.